Hello and welcome everyone to Conversations with Tona Brown. I am here with Desirée and Cheryl from Black Opal. Everyone who has known me over the years knows that I am a huge fan of the brand. I've been wearing Black Opal cosmetics for the past 12 years, and it's actually transformed my skin because I was wearing other major brands and I would constantly break out. And it was two individuals that I would like to give a shout out to, Amelia Black and Yarde Noir, who said, hey, why don't you try these other products? I think it will work for you. They also have a skincare line that you also can benefit from. So I started using the skincare line and I started using the foundations, and then I love lip color. And from there, I just became a huge fan. I bought all their products. And at the time, I could only get it online from where I live in Virginia. And I became a regular subscriber to their website. So we'll definitely be letting people know about how you can get their products, and be on the lookout for the photo shoot that I just did with Yarde Noir, where you will see all of the beautiful photos that I did using Black Opal and Fashion Fair products. So welcome, ladies. I know that was kind of a long introduction, but I'm just such a huge fan that I had to just get it all out. How are you all doing?
We're doing great. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Sure. So first off, before we get to everything DEI that is being taken away, I just want to stop and ask you ladies, how are you doing and how is the business going with all that's happening with the current administration?
Well, every day is a surprise. And I think that, it is important that we all maintain our focus and what we're really focused on, because it's so, I feel, unsteady. We can't predict what's going to happen next. And so I think self-care, beauty, taking care of our skin, all of those sound simple, but those are things that we do have control over. Cheryl and I, we worry every day because, some of these things could really impact our business as, the tariffs are, come into fruition. If they all come to fruition, we really don't know, right? Because it's changing every day. But one of the things that we, pride ourselves on is offering products at a value price. So with Black Opal, everything is under $20. And that's on purpose because we know people work hard for their money. We want them to be able to buy smartly and be able to buy high quality products that doesn't rob the bank, right? And so
That's
that
right.
makes us a little nervous because that is one of the things that's super important to us as we serve our community.
Absolutely. And as a transgender woman of color who's also an activist, and the first transgender woman of color to perform for a sitting president, Barack Obama, of course, I want to say how imperative that price point has been to myself. And as an activist, we've learned that most transgender women, only, especially of color, only make up to $15,000 a year in many parts of our country. So that price point has been revolutionary to my community. And because I know people who are models, I know people who are in the ballroom scene, I know people who are makeup artists, they're drag performers, all of those things. They really want to continue to support Black Opal Cosmetics. And the price point was always amazing because you could get these high quality products. You could change up your look in any way you wanted to. It wasn't breaking out our skin and it was affordable. You could tell someone who, let's say they used another product that was $40, $50, $60 and say, hey, have you thought about or considered supporting a Black owned business like Black Opal? And so, of course, the minority girls would say, oh, we didn't know that there was even a company like that. So I just want to say, we understand with these tariffs that this has to be an issue. What do you think about it, Cheryl?
Well, I think that, as Desiree said, there's so much uncertainty right now. That's probably the biggest issue, and we're not in control of a number of these decisions or the timing of when these things, may or may not happen. And so I think what we're really trying to do is to just continue to focus and try to focus as positively as possible. We are very, very, it's very, very important to us that our products continue to be sold and distributed, as well as, we want to keep the prices. We have great quality products, all under $20, and we'd like to keep it that way. And we certainly don't want to increase the products just because there's a tariff. That, really doesn't add anything to the value in the products. So, but, you've got to just keep moving on. You got to, figure out what you can do, what you are in control of. And we're just trying to, do that and move forward.
Yeah, and you guys are succeeding, not just trying. I mean, I can only imagine what it would be like to have to wait every week to figure out what this administration is going to do. But it also helps me to segue into my next question. How are you guys feeling about how we as a community can support you all and protest what is happening with the current administration?
Listen, I was just in DC and I was unfortunately able to witness the last paving over of Black Lives Matter. And it really hit me, close to my heart. And I thought, wow, are we just being erased? I mean, is everything being erased? And so I think that you can be emotional about it, but you really have to turn that emotion into something that works for you. Not all of us are protesters. Not all of us can write eloquently about what we're feeling. Not all of us have the capacity to garner other people to support us, but each of us can do something. And so I think that in our own way, we have to do something. And so that could honestly mean, for the first time, I'm going to support Black companies like Black Opal or Fashion Fair or Lip Bar or any of the other companies that are out there. I'm going to take this more seriously because one of the things that we know is even though Black Americans say that they really would support and want to support Black companies, they're not. And so I think the biggest thing that we could do is jointly pull ourselves together and say, I am going to seek out Black companies and I'm going to spend at least 15% of my purchases are going to be with Black companies. I don't think that's too much to ask for us as a community to do because we really have to be in a position where we've generated our own income. We're not dependent on others to allow us to generate income because that income is going to help us to get the things ultimately that we want. Whether it be
Absolutely.
new retail opportunities, new websites, new opportunities for our children, being able to mentor kids. We were just at Howard University 2 weeks ago. So I think it's all about, unfortunately, it does narrow down to support and cash, and we want to continue to work with the employees and the different vendors that we work with, many of them who look like us. And we're not going to be able to do that if the company is not successful moving forward. So, number one, I would say is support Black. We just have to get smarter about that. And so that's really what we're working on, over the coming months is everywhere we can is just supporting Black and actually going into our communities and supporting Black. And so we've got a lot of activities planned where we're literally going out into the community, talking about the products, but also supporting those organizations, whether there be ministers on the south side of Chicago or sororities and other organizations that support our community actually participating in events that they have already established. We got to kind of double down, I would say, with our own communities and be supportive.
I think we've got to, ratchet it up a little bit, okay? And that is partnerships, okay, with each others, okay? I had an opportunity to attend a conference this past weekend of 200, women of color, Black women, and we were, setting up, chat groups, and exchanging ideas and exchanging contacts and figuring out. We asked two questions, which I thought were really great. One was, what do you need and what can you offer? And so, and I think that's just a really good way to look at it. We all need something, okay? And so, where can your community help you? But also, what can you do to help the community? Okay, and so I do think partnering with
Mhm.
other black-owned firms, and sharing some of the expense. One of the things that we did recently, before all this happened, is merchandising is a really important piece of retailing. And when you're a small-owned firm, you don't have the kind of money to be able to send someone in there if, in fact, you're in a lot of stores, but to send someone in there to be able to make sure that your display looks right, to make sure that you can see whether or not you have the right products in there, and all the kinds of things that you would do in merchandising. So we partnered with two other black-owned cosmetic companies who are in the same locations that we were, and we hired a merchandising company to come in there and basically handle that for all of us, and then share the expense. So those are ways that I'm talking about partnering. Is because if you share the expense, then you've got more money, hopefully, to be able to apply it to something else. So we think those are some of the ways that you can. They're just good business decisions, but they're even more important in this particular climate.
Absolutely. And I feel that people are a little confused, and I would like for either one of you to kind of speak on this about how to properly protest these things that are going on. And I don't mean like telling people that you shouldn't march or anything like that. But what I'm saying is that if we have black brands that are in a Walmart or Target or something like that, from doing research and reading your incredible article that you did in Vogue Business, how should the consumer do things if they're going into a Target or something like that, or a place like that, and they want to buy products by black owned companies? Okay. So do you all feel that people should still go in, and when they do, just buy black companies? Or how do you guys feel about all this protesting that's going on?
Listen, it's such a difficult topic, and it's a personal topic. I mean, I think one of the things for us is it's important that our business be successful, not just for us, but for the employees that we represent and all of the partners that we have. A majority are minorities. And so, and we want to support them in their businesses. So I'm not going to ever sit here and say that, you should do something one way or the other. I think I'm going to go back to my original comment and just saying it may take a little research, but it would be wonderful if we could all support Black businesses. Whether or not we're going into a location, or not is a different story. I think that it's really about supporting those businesses in the way that you feel comfortable. I don't think I can dictate that people should do one thing one way or the other. It's a personal choice. And I think that ultimately, when we show that there's power in our buying power, and that we accept that power of our own buying power. I mean, there's been a lot of destruction of, Black Americans in this country in terms of their value and their worth and their buying power and what that is. We have to take control of that and really put our money behind our feelings. And that, unfortunately, that's what works. We can see what's happening right now with the billionaires, right? And we
That's
can say,
right.
well, we don't have billionaires. But guess what? We have billions in buying power. If we could just pull that together and say, you know what? This is what we stand for. We want to create businesses of scale. We are going to put our money behind companies that are represented by people that not only look like us, but care about us, that are making products exclusively for us, and that help me with the issues I'm confronting with my skin or my hair, and that are producing vegan, cruelty-free, clean, natural products that, are going to be good for me. I'm a cancer survivor, and I'm going to tell you something. We are not going to do any products that are not healthy products. Our products are fragrance free. We've worked with a Black dermatologist. So there's a reason that that product is not breaking out your skin. And so, there's a reason for that. There's thought behind that. And so I just think as a community, we have to put our money where our mouth is, and that's the answer. Because if I think the world sees, like, we're just not going to stand for it. And so we are going to, participate in those brands that are important to us. I think it works all the way around because retailers, of course, are going to want brands that, have a following. That's part of the whole thing, right? Is they want brands that have a following. They want to make money too. And so I think that we just have to be a lot more cognizant of the power we have and own it and use it. That's what I think. And that it sounds like an easy thing to do, but we're not doing it. We're all
At
over the
all.
place and we need to join hands. We're too busy worrying about, this person and that. As Cheryl, it's all about partnerships. There's plenty for everyone. So I often say we're running after the pecan pie when there's a whole banquet table of sweets.
That's right.
And so there's plenty for all of us to share in. And so partnerships are the name of the game and being supportive. We don't have to create everything ourselves. Sometimes we get into this, I've got to create. No, you don't. Someone already has that. So let's go and participate with them and work through that with them. We don't have to create our own events. They're there. So let's join them in the events that are already there. So being smart about how we working together, less fighting, less arguing about one thing or the other, and more about supporting. We can talk and discuss privately, but then come out and join hands and work together to ensure that that wealth generation is coming back to us and we can continue to be supportive of people and help people that look like us. That's the name of the game.
Can I just stop and say thank you so much for your positive disposition on all of this? It's just,
It's your
it's life.
lipstick.
Thank you, Fashion Fair. I mean, it's just so uplifting to talk to you ladies about this. And I know that so many of us are trying to figure out actionable steps and we're getting a lot of information. And I know for me, even after reading the article in Vogue Business that you all did, the take that I got from it is exactly what you just said. Let's be intelligent. Let's do our research. Let's let our Black dollar, minority dollar, and women dollar, all LGBTQ dollars, let all of those go to the people who want to service us. But moreover, you have to do the research. And I love that you said that because that was something that I was going to end with. You have to do the research because if you just say, okay, I'm just not going to go into a place at all, it is so hard for Black brands to even get into these places. And let's not forget, all of us women of color know who were born even in the 70s, 80s, know how hard it was to find products for our hair. There was no aisle like you see these young people have today. Y'all need to remember that. And as you see this administration pull things back, we remember what it was like to go into a store. And if there was products, it was like maybe just a little half a shelf. And it may just been like relaxers, some grease, for your hair. It was a totally different time that they're trying to pull things back. So we need you all out here supporting Fashion Fair. Now, I do have a little story about Fashion Fair that I would like to share. My Aunt Minnie, she was
I
one of
had
the
a not many.
Okay. My Aunt Minnie, she always loved her purple lavender rinses, and she was the one who got me to accept color because I always wore black and just very simple colors. And she was the top salesperson for Fashion Fair in Chesapeake, Virginia. The And she just had this incredible clientele, but she was always feeling like she had to convince women to even just wear and try makeup. And she became such a great salesperson because if you walk past her in Macy's, if you walk past her, she would get you to get in that chair and make you feel like 3 million bucks. And one of the people that I feel that she did that for was my mother. And I used to constantly compliment my my mom, whenever she would put her makeup on which was rare. But when she did, I would just go crazy and she would just smile and laugh because I just said, Mom, you look so beautiful. Like, why don't you do this all the time? Like my Aunt Minnie, for instance. So I have had a long, long, long history of watching my grandmothers, my aunts, my sisters, different women in the community, going to church and seeing women who just always seemed to be pulled together. But there were just a couple of brands that they would go to, and to see you all merge just makes my heart flutter, and I want to do everything that I can to support. So even if your products happen to be in a Walmart or something like that, I know from doing my own research, as we were talking before, that I'm going to go over here and buy. That's just me personally. I'm going to go over here and get this. And I feel that so many people should take on that sort of attitude if they can, if they feel so inclined to do so, because we can't stop everything. We can't pull everything off the shelves, but we can be smart and we can do our research and figure out where to spend our money, as you said.
The other thing that I think that we really have to just make sure that we all, are focused on, certainly we sell great products and we're very proud of all the products that we sell. But one of the things that Desiree and I were very focused and committed to when we bought both of these companies almost 6 years ago is that we wanted to provide jobs. Okay. And so we are in the business of also providing jobs. And as Desiree said earlier, most of our jobs are to, minority, women. Even for the services that we use, we try to use, services that are provided by minorities as well. And so it's not just the products, it's also the ability to provide jobs, to provide, economic opportunities. I mean, when you see what's going on now, especially what's happening with federal employees, I mean, sometimes they have two people in the family, both of them losing their jobs at the same time. This is heartbreaking. And so it's not just that products. We love the products and I want you to continue to support the products. But remember that buying these products also help us support jobs in our community as well. And that's going to, always been important. But I think that's going to become even more important as we move forward.
Oh yeah, it's essential. And again, as you both are saying, doing the research and understanding where you can circulate your dollars so that all of these things that we're mentioning can actually happen. It doesn't happen by you just using your lip service. You do have to pay in. And as a small business owner myself, I'm a musician and I teach students of all ages music lessons. And I also tour all around the country, going to colleges and universities, and I teach professors how to teach. I also teach doing master classes. So again, I'm also on the end of telling people all the time, well, you're taking your child to some of these other companies, and we all have the right to do those things. But if you're a little bit more aware, quote unquote, as they tried to demonize the term woke, you would understand. You would understand that you're taking your child to these programs where I'm a very, very macro small business and I'm giving you even more customer service. I'm doing all of the things. And then you're coming to me when those programs, and this is just me venting, you're coming to me when those programs don't service your children the way they
That's
should.
right.
Okay. And now
Right.
you're coming to me when I could have started your child on violin at 6 years old and brought them up through
Well,
or
sometimes we think
music.
another color is better, but that's our own indoctrination in this country. And sometimes we have to go through that evolution and that experience before we realize how beautiful, how spectacular we are in our own right. But it's all history. I mean, so I don't get mad. I just try to, like, I've been through the process myself. I mean, I
Yeah.
worked at all of these companies that were, not black owned. I did all of that, and you come to a fruition that, you know what, I'm good enough. I am better, actually. I can do this. And so I think, though, it's an evolution for all of us, and we come through it naturally given the indoctrination we've had in this country.
Absolutely. I can't agree more. That is the perfect way to sum it up. And what are you thinking, Cheryl?
No, I totally agree with that. And look, I'll just say again that we have to figure out what we can do and put our plans together and move forward. Sitting around and complaining about it is not going to change anything. Okay. Because we see this train's moving down the station, whether we're on it or not. Okay. So we have to figure out what can we do. And there's a lot we can do if we work together. There's a lot of power within what we are all trying to do. So we've got to just, move forward, certainly be aware of the surroundings and what's going on, but understand what is it that we can do together to make this better for everybody.
Absolutely. Ladies, when I tell you, you all have made my year with this conversation, and I cannot wait to share this with everyone, because I know for many of us, we're operating out of fear and all of these things. And I don't. I'm one of those people that's why I have you guys on the show. I'm about strategy and figuring out, okay, what do we do next? And also giving people calls of action, which I didn't have to ask you guys, you did naturally. Calls of action on what we can positively do for change. We are the change that we want. And so we have the power to do so. And we're also a huge group of people that if we do the research and we just get a little smarter about it, we will win.
That's right. That's right. We have the power. So don't let anyone convince you that you don't have the power. And also, again, let's hold hands. You don't have to love everyone to death, but let's think about creative ways that we can work together to move the world forward for what it is that's important to us. Because right now, what it is that's important to us has become secondary.
That's right.
And we
That's
just
right.
can't lose our way. We really cannot lose our way. It's disheartening. It's sad. It's like you think you would never have seen this. Some people aren't even seeing what's happening because, only a certain percentage of the population is even listening to the news because they're so disgusted. They're not even hearing the stuff. I'm a news junkie because I want to know.
Me too.
I want to know when they take Underground Railroad and change it into something else. I want to know when they pave over Black Lives Matters. I want to know. When they make all of these changes that are impacting Black people, I want to know because that informs me on what and how I'm going to handle myself moving forward. But just remember, not everyone's paying attention to this. And so we got to educate them. We got to pull them in too, because it's important for all of us to work together. And I cannot summarize that more. It's like we have got to get everyone working together for the common good of, our community and what we need to do. Because everybody else is doing what they need to do. Believe me.
And her last point, I think, is a really, really important one. Don't be fooled, okay, that these other groups are not working to take care of what's theirs, okay? So if we're sitting back doing nothing, okay, it's going to come and haunt us, okay? Because people are moving forward. People have figured out that, they can't sit back and wait and do nothing, okay? They've got to move forward, figure out what resources they have, figure out the power that they have, and then figure out a plan and move forward. You can't stay
That's
Oh
still.
my
right.
goodness.
It's
No,
not the
that's
time to
right.
stay
And
still.
and what they do is they pick off a few of us and then we get so enamored with what's happening with that. Oh, look, it's going well. Look. That's the rope-a-dope. They pick off a few and then we get
Absolutely.
so excited. We're like, oh my God, look at so and so there. We're doing great. No, we're not. We need more of those so and so's. I want to see hundreds of those so and so's do that we can clap for and that we can celebrate. You know, I want to be one. Cheryl wants to be one. You want to be one.
That's
There's no
right.
reason why we can't have thousands of so-and-sos doing well and supporting our community.
That's
So
right.
we really have to pay attention. We have to decide who is it that we're going to listen to and who are we going to follow. If we don't want to do the research, that's okay. We got enough people doing the research. And the voices are out there, the Roland Martins of the world, the Don Lemons of the world, they're telling the truth. They're bringing, the stories forward. Listen to what they're saying. There's no reason to make this up,
Yeah.
and so we just have to, kind of at this moment in time, not get lost. Like I said, I'm all for the fan dance, but we need to be fan dancing when we have something to fan dance about.
You
Okay,
said
because I'm
that.
not sure right now there's anything we need to announce at the beginning. We're going to do a fan dance because what? We just secured blankety blank and we just got blankety blank. Okay, let's go fan dance instead of fan dance. What are we doing here? Look, if just one
Absolutely.
every person fan dancing gave $1 to a black business, where would we be? That's the
That
challenge.
part.
That's the
That
some.
part
I
right
hope some
there.
black person is making fans. That's what I hope.
I know
Okay.
that's right. Yeah, you are on it. Like I said, thank you guys so much for coming on Conversations with Tona Brown. We needed to have this conversation because DI is important. Women are important. LGBTQIP A people are important. Veterans are important. People with disabilities are important. And we're seeing all of these things being rolled back. We're seeing grants and everything rolled back. And I could not be an entrepreneur myself, as well as someone who is woke, and not have you ladies on the show. And boy, did you all deliver. I think this is going to be something that people are going to constantly think about. And the calls of action that you have given the entire community is fantastic. It's exactly what we need to hear.
Well, thank you for
All
having
right
us.
now.
Yes. What'd you say,
I said,
Cheryl?
thank you for having us.
Absolutely. And is there anything you want to say? Because I feel like me and Desiree were doing all the lip service. Is there anything that you would like to leave our audience with?
And, I think the only thing is just that, let's not sit still. Okay. Sitting still is the curse of death. Okay. We got to move. We got to move. We got to move forward as fast as we can. We got to be thoughtful about it though. And I think, I'll go back to something that Desiree said earlier, because I think it's really, really important. We need to figure out how we hold hands and figure out how we do it together, because it's not enough for just one of us to win. More of us have to win. If more of us don't win, no one's going to win. So that's what I would say.
Oh my goodness.
That's
Y'all
right.
are everything in a bag of chips. I didn't know what to expect, but I'm so glad that you two ladies took the time out of your busy schedule to come on Conversations with Tona Brown. And if there's anything that I can do, I'm one of those people that if I believe in change, I'm going to do everything in my power to be a part of that change. So in front of the world, everyone knows how much I support your brand, how much I support both of your brands and you ladies, and everyone will see it going forward. All they have to do is look on my Instagram at Tenacity. They can also look me up online at tonabrown.com. But how can they get in touch with you all, and where can we get your products?
Okay, so Fashion Fair is sold at Sephora and Macy's and also fashionfair.com. And then Black Opal, blackopalbeauty.com, and also sold at Walmart, Target, Amazon, Ulta, and CVS.
Brilliant. Get out here, ladies and gentlemen, and support this brand, because I'm telling you, we have to have something that works with our skin. You guys are going to see the testimonials on my Instagram. I just got out of a fabulous photo shoot with the Black Opal specialist. I call him Yarde Noir, who beat my face into a box. And I had so much fun. We're actually planning multiple photo shoots because, again, When I say I'm your fan, if I say that, and my students know it as well, if I say I'm your biggest fan, then I'm going to do everything I can to help you.
We
And
can't
so I
wait to
want
see
to
all
do
the
that.
faces beat into a box. I
Oh,
can't
beat
wait.
into, okay, a sickening box.
Oh, wow.